guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Taylor, and today we're going to talk about a kind of controversial subject, although I don't know why it is. We are going to be talking about fake meats and why I love them. So, as you guys know, on my channel, I've taught you guys how to make veggie burgers, seitan sausages, barbecue ribs, all of these mock meats. And the reason that I started doing this in the first place is because I noticed a huge backlash, like a huge distaste for mock meats in the vegan community. And I understand that mock meats are not the cool way to be vegan right now. The cool way is to, eat nothing but 100% whole unprocessed foods. And if we do anything outside of that, then we talk about it like it's a treat, or once in a while I'll have some of this, but I don't do that often. I don't buy it often, only on special occasions. And this really kind of aggravates me for a number of reasons. Now, my particular audience tends to err more on the strength athlete side of the vegan community. So many of my clients are vegan bodybuilders, physique athletes, power lifters, people in the gym lifting a lot of weight. And I do believe that strength athletes and athletes in general tend to need a little bit more protein than the average person. Now listen, please don't get me wrong. For the average person who is moderately active, doesn't have a lot of strength goals or physique goals or anything like that, I believe that a 100% whole food, plant-based diet is great. I don't have any issues whatsoever with a whole food, plant-based diet. Love it. I think it's one of the best things you can do to improve certain health markers, reverse certain diseases. Absolutely 100%. But I'm talking, again, to my specific audience of vegan strength athletes, vegan bodybuilders, and people who are strength athletes or bodybuilders who are thinking about going vegan. I believe we need more protein. Now, there's lots of ways that you can get protein from plant-based foods. Obviously, foods like beans, peanut butter, yes, they have protein, and these are the things that often are touted as great sources of protein for vegetarian and vegans. And they do have protein, but they have a lot more of the other macronutrients. Let's take, for example, lentils. Lentils, I believe, of all of the beans, with the exception of soybeans, have the highest protein content. So a half a cup of cooked lentils has about 9 to 10 grams of protein. Great, that's awesome. But it also has about 20 grams of carbohydrates. So it's actually it's almost 70% carbs and 30% protein. Peanut butter, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter has 6 or 7, maybe 8 grams of protein, depending on the brand. But it also has 16 grams of fat. So peanut butter is actually 80% fat, sometimes higher. So in come our other foods: tofu, tempeh, edamame, nutritional yeast, things like this. And most people can get on board with that. But what people cannot seem to get on board with as a whole are mock meats. And I'm talking about tofurkey, field roast, Gardein, Beyond Meat, Upton seitan, things like that. People look at it and they just immediately are like, whoa, that's processed food. Processed food is bad for you. I don't want any of that. Now, I want to talk to you about the reasons why I actually love it, and I'll get into the health parts later. But first of all, for the average person eating any of these fake meats, and that's what I'm going to call them. They're analog foods, they're seitan, they're soy-based products, but for the purpose of just conveying the message to the average person, we're going to call them fake meats, mock meats, analog foods. For the person eating fried chicken, getting Gardein buffalo wings is going to be a huge step in the right direction for their health, for the environment, and absolutely for animal rights, obviously, right? And I think that pretty much all vegans are kind of on board with this. They understand that a Gardein buffalo tender is much better than its animal-based counterpart on pretty much all fronts. But there are other reasons why a mock meat might be a good thing. So a lot of things that non-vegans say are like, well, if you don't want to eat meat, why are you eating food that looks like meat or tastes like meat? And most of us did not grow up vegan. That's going to change in the next 20 years. We'll have a lot more people who have been vegan their whole lives. But for now, most of us did not grow up vegan. We grew up eating hot dogs on the 4th of July and turkey at Thanksgiving. And a lot of us enjoyed the taste of those things. Now, it could be argued, and I would agree, that most of the flavors that we enjoyed in animal products when we were younger were actually the seasonings and condiments and things like that we put all over it to make it taste good, and the textures, totally on board with that. But there's still something about it that we enjoyed it then, and now we have a whole new way that we can enjoy those same flavors, those same social contexts and social norms that we grew up with. We're still able to enjoy those things as adults in a much healthier, much more environmentally friendly product that is obviously a million times better for animal rights. But the issue often comes when people think that mock meats are essentially alchemy. And this is my biggest thing that I want to rally against. I understand that when you look at something that looks like a chicken breast and it's not chicken, it is very hard for our brains to believe that there was a way to do that couldn't have involved something horrifically unhealthy. Like, we almost feel like it's made out of plastic and chemicals and nothing else. And that is one of the reasons why I make so many video recipes. Guys, I'm not a chef. I'm not a cookbook writer, although maybe one day if I get enough recipes together. But the reason that I come up with these recipes is to show you that these aren't magic foods. There's nothing magic about them. They are combinations of soy-based products, bean-based products, wheat-based products, all mixed together with various spices and cooked with different modalities to create the texture and flavor of products that we enjoyed growing up. They're really, really not that crazy. And hopefully, if some of you guys have made some of the mock meat recipes that I have, you understand that you can make something that tastes very similar to a Beyond Burger in your own kitchen for a lot cheaper, but you're essentially making it from scratch, and poof, you have this thing. So then when you see something like a Gardein or a Beyond Burger, you understand that it's actually more about the convenience. Now, of course, there's different brands and different products, and some of them have better ingredient lists than others. Some of them are loaded with oil. Some of them might have way more salt than you personally want to take in, and that's fine. You can shop around and find the ones that you like that fit your bill and have those. Or you can make your own with no salt if you didn't want to, or no oil if you don't want to, or you can find ways to make it soy-free or gluten-free, or probably not both if we're going for protein content here. But you can find different ways to make them that fit your goals, and it's really not that hard. But ever since we were little kids, tofu hot dogs and veggie burgers have been the butt of every joke that they are basically chemical bombs that taste like hockey pucks, and it's just not true. So that said, these are the reasons that I really appreciate mock meat products. I appreciate that these companies exist. I appreciate how far they've come in the 17 years that I've been vegan. It was not like this 17 years ago, although I gotta give a shout out to the OG Boca Burgers. They just rebranded their vegan burger to the turkey burger, and it's even better than it was, but they were the first people making things that were pretty good. It's not my fault. Most people didn't know how to cook them and make them taste good, but it's come so far that occasionally if I'm in a restaurant and I bite into something, I have a moment of panic because I think maybe I bit into real meat. And essentially the macronutrients on a lot of these products, not all of them, because not all mock meats are created equal. I'll go back to the Gardein buffalo tenders or the chicken fingers. Those are not particularly high in protein, and they are particularly high in carbs and fat because they're, breaded to taste like a chicken finger. But if you look at, say, the Beyond Meat chicken strips, those are almost entirely protein with very low carbohydrates and fats. So those are more in line with my goals. So the macronutrient profiles of many of these products allow me to hit my goals because I don't have a particularly fast metabolism. And if I did, then I could rely more on beans as a main source of protein for myself because I would have more carbohydrates to work with. But even some of my clients that do have really fast metabolisms and have a lot of carbohydrates to work with, a lot of beans doesn't always agree with everybody, and there have to be different ways to go about it. Now, of course, there's so many vegan protein powders on the market. And again, that's come so far in 17 years or longer, because, you know, they existed before I was vegan, but since I've been vegan, they've come so far. But not everybody wants to eat protein powder all day. I know that I certainly don't. I much prefer to chew my food and feel satiated at the end of a meal. And that is very, very important for me for dietary adherence. And if you can't stick to something, it's not going to work for you. So I think mock meats can be a wonderful inclusion into a well-rounded vegan diet to help you reach your strength and fitness goals. And I think, contrary to what most people say, it is not a compromise on your health to do so. And I guess that's what I take the most issue with, that this idea that mock meats are like an in-between food or a transition food. And I suppose they could be if your goal was 100% whole food plant-based diet. But if you have different goals, if you have aesthetic-based goals or strength-based goals, and you don't have the fastest metabolism, I think that the inclusion of them actually benefits your health more so than the exclusion of them, and it benefits your goals more so than the exclusion of them. And again, if you're iffy about what I'm saying, if you're like, yo, Danny, it comes in a package, it can't possibly be good for me, I encourage you to give it a shot, try making your own. And maybe you find that you like it more than you thought you did. Maybe you find that hitting your macros becomes a lot easier than you thought that it was. And maybe because you're hitting your protein goal much more easily, you're actually able to include a much wider variety of other foods, other fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, and seeds, because you are using mock meats to help you hit the protein goal, so you have so much more wiggle room with the other macronutrients. So guys, this is a topic that I feel really passionately about, and it's not for everybody. I'm not saying that you have to have mock meats. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you don't want to eat it, you don't have to eat it, and I respect everybody's way of being vegan, absolutely. But if you don't know how to feel about it, and I get a lot of messages from people who they're like, oh, I don't know how I feel about those packaged fake meats. Well, these are my thoughts on how I feel about those packaged fake meats. Do your own research. Never take anything at face value, guys. Always do your own research, and that includes me and what everybody else says. Never take anybody at face value. So let me know what you guys think about this. I really look forward to hearing more about what you guys have to say on this topic, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.